Welcome back to another episode of Two Teslas, One Tree. Today, Sarah and I are going to be reviewing the differences between the new 2024 Tesla Model 3 Highland in Ultra Red and the old Tesla Model 3 Performance Ultra Red. Both performance models. Immediately, one of the differences that we notice is this is ultra red, but it's a lighter coat. This is darker. There's a ton of tiny little intricate differences. We're going to point all of those out, and then both of us are going to drive these vehicles up Mount Lemon. So I will have Sarah's information down in the description, her Instagram, YouTube channel, all that stuff. Her stuff's incredible, so the fact that we get to use her cameras today, our quality's way up. Gjeebs stock is through the roof right now. So I'm very excited for this. Let's get into it. All right, so first with exterior differences, we're going to start right up front. Immediately on the bottom of the car, you see that we have a front diffuser here. They didn't have any of that before. And one of my previous complaints with the Model 3 Performance, you know, we were all enamored with the fact that this car went 3.1 to 60. It was so fast and comfortable, all that stuff. But then over time, as you become more and more used to it, you want more from a driver's perspective. So what they've done on the exterior is incredible. So they've added this front diffuser. They've also have this cut, and the front bumper is now enhanced differently from the normal Model 3. Previously, all Model 3s had this front bumper. The new Performance model, not only does it sit lower, the front bumper is different. Also, we need to talk about the wheels. Now, they're still 20-inch wheels, but the big difference is this is a truly forged wheel, meaning this only weighs 20 pounds. It's insane. Now, this being a 20-inch wheel, this weighs right around 30 pounds. And that unsprung weight makes a huge difference in how you feel, the feedback you're getting through the steering wheel, more efficient, better acceleration, all of that. This does 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds. This does 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. And this also now pulls further. The drop off after 60 or 80 is not as drastic as it was in this previously. Obviously, the headlights are different. The fronks are overall the same. One very minor difference that a lot of people don't pick up on is the Tesla emblem. So you can see this old one here is chrome, and the new emblem over here actually has a little bit of satin to it. It's a slight difference, but it is a difference between the two. Also, the mirror caps are slightly different with the shape of them, and for the first time, since these all come with the 20-inch wheels, these actually do have wheel covers. They are removable, but only this part is removable. This part actually screws out, so I haven't removed them yet. I will in later videos. And it actually has the same brake calipers, but the pads are now track-ready track pads. So you actually produce a decent amount of brake dust with these. The tires are essentially the same. They're the Pirelli P0s, but this is a T1. So generally, there's T0, T1, T2, T3. They all go with like Model S, 3, or Y. This is a T1, this is a T0. So it's just slight differences in the tire compounds and them working hand in hand with Pirelli to make sure they're quiet, they're efficient, all of that stuff. They work very closely. They have teams dedicated to talk back and forth to make sure the tire is exactly what they want it to be. We also pointed out earlier, the reds are different. They're both ultra red. I don't know why. This seems to be lighter, this seems to be darker. I'm sure the camera is picking it up, but that's an interesting feature as well. Onto the back of the car, and also one thing I'd like to point out, you can see that this has rim guards on it, but these are the ones that are like piece by piece. There's a company called Vion.Parts. I've worked with them for many years now. They have like a single one that just goes on here for the 20-inch and 21-inch wheels in the Model Y and the Model 3. So something worth looking into. Code Gjeebs will save you 10% on their website, free shipping, all of that. The rear diffuser here is a functional rear diffuser here. So this is absolutely beautiful. It's definitely plastic. It almost appears to be metal like the front of the car, whereas on the old Model 3, you just have this piece right here. So I just think, again, it's a more aggressive look, and it's a staggered tire setup. So you have 275 width tires in the rear, and the back of the car actually has like a meaty, aggressive look to it. Almost reminds me of a BMW M3. You guys have to remember that this is a Model 3 and there's an M3. So if you say M3, you're going to offend some BMW people, and we don't want to do that. The spoiler is also a lot cooler on this one. It actually has some shape to it. This letting air flow more smoothly over the car, this creating a little bit of downforce. So I just think the spoiler, again, carbon fiber, it now fits perfectly, has some shape to it, whereas the older one was just more of a basic shape. And having the ludicrous badge, Some people pointed out the fact that the ludicrous badge doesn't make sense because it says insane mode on the inside of the car. It doesn't say ludicrous anywhere. I agree that's kind of weird. I also don't really care. I think the badge is a really nice touch. Also, the old way to tell it was a performance was it would say dual motor and then there would be a red line underneath. Again, that's been eliminated. It's just the badge now. The other major difference in the back here are the tail lights. You can see it's actually all one piece now. So when I pull that up, that all separates. And I think that just makes it easier for them for alignment and everything like that. The car to me is built extremely well. We'll talk about the interior in a little bit. We'll also do a sound test. We'll do 45 miles per hour in both cars and test the decibel meter. Sarah found out one of my dark secrets is that I carry a decibel meter around with me. And I'm just constantly measuring sound. But this is a judgment-free zone. This is what we do here at the Gjeebs organization.
No, I'm judging.
You're judging?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's fine.
No, I wouldn't.
One of the best things I did early on in Tesla ownership was getting quality floor mats, and after trying and seeing others, 3D Mats has the best ones. Not only do they fit perfectly in your Tesla, Lucid, or Rivian, they have Max Spider technology which acts like Velcro but doesn't fray your carpet like Velcro. They also clean up easily. I've had these for over 30,000 miles, and after cleaning them, they look perfect. What I've really come to love is their Premier liners, which is nicer than the carpet in my house. These not only reduce some of the echo in the Model Y, they give it a true premium feel. So go to 3dmatsusa.com, pick out your car, and get a set of floor mats if you need them, and use code Gjeebs3D10 at checkout for a discount. They also just released their custom floor mats for the Tesla Cybertruck, and I know they are in stock right now, so if you have a Cybertruck coming, now is the time to order before they sell out. 3D Mats, thank you for your partnership over the past 4 years.
So we're going to be driving both of these, giving you feedback. Sarah, you have a Model Y Performance.
I do, yeah.
So she's obviously a Tesla fan, but we also both have an appreciation for like, look at those jets.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
That is sick. Wow. I think I just felt rain.
I felt that too. The government must be turning on the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. We both have an appreciation for Teslas, but also performance cars outside of that in the car community. So I think it's cool to be able to meet someone else who has that common mindset. It's like, yeah, EVs are cool, but there's also other performance cars out there that are extremely cool, give you a lot of feedback and everything. So this should be a good video for everyone. It's raining somehow right now.
Yeah. Arizona.
Yeah, it feels incredible though.
Hello, I'm Sarah behind the camera. If you don't know me, shameless plug, The Simple Sarah. I love all cars. I respect them. They all have their own purpose. But for me, driving an EV just makes sense. It's easy. I wake up with a full charge and then I can go and do whatever I want. Sometimes I'm drifting. Sometimes I'm just going through the canyon and having fun. This past week, I was driving everything from Ferraris, Porsches, Corvettes, and I got to drive them across country. So getting back into Tesla is a little bit different for me. But I love it. These cars handle so well. You can just send it into a corner and it grips all the way through. Well, don't send it too hard, okay?
Yeah, most of the way through.
Most of the way. Yeah, we should drive it.
Now we're on the interior of the Tesla Model 3 Performance. So the thing that you immediately notice here, the seats are incredible. I think you can speak to that, like jumping out of this. It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
It grips you nicely. I don't think it overdoes it. I think it's perfect. You need this type of support when you're on canyon or on track. Also, there are no shift stocks here. So I jumped in her car and was like looking at the screen and looking over here. There's no shift stocks. It takes you like a day to get used to that, maybe a week. And then you jump into a car with shift stocks and you're like, oh, then you're reaching for the screen. So you will get used to that. Not a big deal. All the controls are on the steering wheel plus voice commands and you're good to go. Also, cooled seats running right now. That's key because we're both cooking in and out of the car. And the suspension is finally a valved suspension. So under dynamics, you have ride and handling. You have standard and you have sport. You still have the steering weights. You have your track mode and your 3 acceleration modes. Insane mode going 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds, which is insane for a car like this because it can be comfortably driven as a daily driver. This is running on the equivalent of like 2.5 gallons of gas and can get you 300 miles of range. So the interior is incredible. Also, now it comes with a matte carbon fiber dashboard. Again, further differentiating it from the other Model 3, which on the interior, you wouldn't be able to tell that you're in a performance or not unless you started driving it. So again, adding these features like the seats, like the carbon dash, and a variable suspension to me is just incredible and really well done. The other thing to note is the steering wheel. It has a different shape to it. It's a little more ergonomic, in my opinion. It feels a little bit better to be on this steering wheel. Your hands just kind of fall into a natural position. So I really like how the steering wheel is. There's also a slight flat bottom here. So I think that that is just really well done. The one thing I will say that I'm totally not used to is the turn signals. You know how they say BMW drivers don't use their turn signals? Like, that's because they're always low on turn signal fluid, blinker fluid, and people just forget about that. So I find myself sometimes, like when it's easy to just not move your hand off the wheel and just flick the turn signal, there's times where I just don't use it. Right. And I don't know. It's also, sometimes you'll hit the button and it doesn't, it's like this bottom one here is a little, you have to hit it right on the arrows. So I think having, I don't know, I'll get used to it over time, but that's also just like one thing that I've noticed that's a little different. But we'll throw it into sport right now as far as the damping goes. And again, this isn't an air suspension. I'll be honest, I don't even really feel it.
It's comfortable. It's still comfortable.
Yes, that's what I've felt about this the whole time, is I'm happy that they did it like they did it. It's very comfortable, and we'll jump in yours and we'll see how that feels. That's what I love about it, is I was worried when I got this that the seats were not going to be comfortable and the suspension was still going to be too stiff. They've addressed those both perfectly, and I think it's an extremely comfortable car for a performance car. And you can just go 1,000 miles an hour.
I've done it.
You went 1,000?
Yeah, a few times.
Wow. Yeah, the brake feel is really nice. Also having the regenerative braking is nice. Like we talked about at the beginning, I just like the fact that these are efficient vehicles, ultra efficient and ultra fast. There's a charging network all across the country that you can reliably go to. And the sound system, everything about it makes, you're like spoiled and you go into other cars. Yeah. And like we've had our Model Ys for years, and it's still exciting when they release a software update. That way you're matching what the current vehicles have. So if you're like, oh, I can't afford the new Model 3 Performance, but I want to maybe get an older Model 3 Performance, I think this will be helpful to you. So we'll jump in that one. We'll jump in Sarah's and kind of talk about the differences and what you can do and what you're missing out on by going with an older version. All right, so now we're in the 2023 Model 3 Performance. Things I immediately noticed: the seat, still a comfortable seat. These seats were not, in my opinion, ever a problem, but on a performance car, sometimes you want just a little bit more. Steering wheel actually feels really nice. Steering wheel's solid. Okay, suspension is definitely, there's like a lot more NVH that I'm feeling coming up through the ground and into the steering wheel. So like we both kind of agreed on the new Model 3 Highland, the suspension is really comfortable. It feels nice. This doesn't feel bad though, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the seats are very comfortable. It's still stiff. The other new one is better, but if you're getting one of these for like 30 grand, you could throw in a suspension from Unplugged Performance or Mountain Pass or whoever, or Eibach, whatever you want to put in this thing. You're going to have just more of a budget to customize it on your own. Throw on forged wheels, things like that. The other thing I'll notice, there's more of an echo in here, and there is more sound like behind us in the cabin overall. So this is definitely a louder car. I don't know what steering mode we're in, but it feels like we're in heavy. Yeah. So this responsiveness and steering is great. And a Subaru. It's always a Subaru. Oh. That's what makes Subaru Subaru. That's love right there, baby. Yeah. Thank you. You find yourself like in the turns, like I'm having to pull myself more back into the seat as like the lateral support just isn't there. And these, hey, elevation check, 8,000 feet. I just love a good elevation check. I don't know what it is. I'm obsessed with it. Yeah, so the overall, like the initial impression, that it's less refined. That's really all it is. It's less refined, but overall still a great vehicle. And any Model 3, if you're searching for these in the secondhand market, my advice to you is get a 22 or newer that have the upgraded AMD Ryzen chip is what you want to look for in your Model 3. I have a 2020 Model Y. It has the old Intel chip, and it has stopped getting all of the full new updates, which sucks. There's still updates. It's just not they know the chip is going to slow the car down if they give it the full updates. They don't, which is I appreciate. But just if you want to future-proof your car a little bit longer, that is one thing that I would absolutely look for. If you don't care about that, if you don't care about a heat pump, which they started with in 2021 in the Model 3s, you could get one of these for close to $20,000, which is insane. This level 400, I think 60 or 70 horsepower. The new one has 510 horsepower, all-wheel drive. You could go in the snow. You could go, it's remarkable how versatile this car is. And you've shown that. You're always drifting in dirt parking lots. Every time I go on Twitter, it's like, all right, let's see what Sarah does. She's sliding a U-turn around this over here. So you can really use these cars in ways that you couldn't imagine. And then you can take them to the track and use them. There's a lot of tracks that have electronic charging now. So electronic charging, I just said. You guys get the point. Yeah, so the main takeaway from me driving this, and we'll have Sarah jump in mine to see what she thinks, but my main takeaway driving this, louder on the cabin, suspension's a little bit stiffer, but overall, fairly close. They've just refined the Model 3 Performance Highland, and at $54,000 starting price, that's an insane value. Other minor things that I've noticed in mine, little things like the balls on the steering wheel. They've upgraded the lubrication on the balls or whatever type of thing they're doing here. I don't know if they're using water-based versus coconut. I don't know. But these balls, when you use it on mine, are a little bit more, there's more fluid. They're less notchy. So I don't know. Just on these, when I hit over here, there's a click. On mine, it's a more fluid. I thought J. Cole was going to come on here. It's just a more fluid. I'll show you. You can touch the balls in my car. But these are just more fluid in that car. So there's little tiny differences that they've done. And even the bezel, I'll show you, the bezel on, now they've not said anything's different about the infotainment screen. But if you look at mine, it looks more clear in the bezel. Yeah, feel the bezel. Remember that feeling. And then on mine, we'll kind of see if you can feel a difference, but I just want to touch the screen to shift it.
Also, this is aftermarket. This is not the standard.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the rotating. Yes, just so everyone knows.
Honestly, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying it. So if Tesla could just do that in the future.
Yeah, just like they've done it with the Model S and X.
Yeah. And this one has great tension on it. I don't know where they got it from.
Yeah. No, it is well done.
It feels good.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a cool aftermarket feature in here. Slight differences on the action here. Again, in my Model 3, there's actually a garage here that covers up the cup holders. There's just slight differences in here, phone chargers, things like that. To see the rest of this video, click right here. This is Sarah's video. It'll take you directly to her channel. She has her own thoughts and opinions on the new versus old Model 3. She made a great video, so click right here and check out the Simple Sarah's YouTube channel.